We all enjoy good times in relationships, but can your partner depend on you when life gets hard?
Love lessons with Team Dean. Real love, real love.
Welcome to Love Lessons with Team Dean, where love is intentional and relationships are built to last.
Yeah.
My love,
Yes, love.
what is this week's episode?
Well, today, my love, we are talking about we had nothing, but we stayed together. This is not
Ooh.
just another podcast or another title. This is real life. This is our story, or part of our story at least. This is what we actually experience.
So this is a true
Yeah,
story. Everybody wants love during good times, my love.
that's
Would
real.
you agree with that?
I think everybody wants love. I've never met a person who ever said they didn't want love.
Right.
And I think everybody wants good times in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. But the real test of love comes during hardship, when life gets hard.
Yeah.
As people say, when life be lifing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it really, for us, I think it solidified our love and commitment to one another, if I may say.
Yeah. I am not treading this episode, but I know that in this episode, we're going to touch some sore spots. We're going to touch some things from the past experience to get here. But it also shows that in relationships, every day is not a bed of roses, and every experience is not a bed of roses. So it takes working together, it takes fighting together, it takes believing together to survive life in a relationship. When you date someone, you shouldn't date someone just because they're going to be around for the good days, but you want to date someone who will be down when life fall apart.
Wow, that's beautifully said, my love. And I agree, because I think that in that struggle, it reveals the character of your partner.
True.
And I can truly say that it has been in our struggle moments
Mm.
that your character, your integrity, your love for God, when we found ourselves in some of the darkest times,
Yeah.
we went back to our foundation, and you would say, babe, let's pray. The Lord has led us this far. We know that the Lord is with us and he has a plan for us. And in those difficult times, my love, that is when struggle really reveals character.
Yeah.
For example, even in our darkest times, our struggles, you always went back to our foundation. You
Definitely.
always said, babe, I don't have the answer, but I know that God does.
Yeah.
I don't know what we should do. You were always transparent about that. That's one thing that I love and continue to love about you.
Yeah.
You do not act like you have, even though you are the husband, you are the priest of our home. You do not act like you have all the answers, but your go to is God. It really
Right.
is. You say, babe, I don't know what we're going to do. No, I don't know what to do, but I know that we need to pray.
Yeah.
And so in those difficult times, we went back to our foundation. We went back to your character really stood out for me. And even though you didn't know what to do, I trust the God in you.
Yeah.
And so I knew that the God that was in you you were going to seek the Lord concerning the struggle that we were going through, and that the Lord was going to give you an answer.
To me, I don't think struggle was something new to me. I
Mm.
think when you met me, I had been living a struggle. My entire life had been a struggle.
Yeah.
And I was never afraid of it. I understood how to stand in the middle of it. I knew not to run in the middle of it. I knew that I was a fighter. But what I needed in a companion, what I needed in a spouse or whoever I was dating, I needed someone who could see all of me, all of my limitations, all of my restrictions,
Yes.
all of my struggles, and be able to stand
And still love you through
and
it.
stand with me through all of
Absolutely.
that. And I believe that you brought that. When the first day we met, I shared with you my struggles.
You did.
The first day we met, because people love the good days. They love when things are well. They love when everything is going perfectly.
Mm.
And they can see themselves with somebody when that person can do something for them. But how are you handling when you meet someone who can't do anything for you? When you meet someone who is also struggling? How are you when both of you are struggling together? Are you going to bail out on them? Are you going to turn your back on them when life gets hard? The marriage vow says for better or for worse,
In sickness and in health.
in sickness and in health. They said till death do us part.
That's what it says.
I do believe That's a commitment that one has to make
Mm,
for better or for worse. When you decide to be down with somebody, no matter what, that level of commitment is worth celebrating. That's why the commitment like that is hard to find. People don't want that because that's asking too much from them. It is asking them to give up their selfishness. But I found that it was the greatest joy for me to lay down my life,
mm,
to lay down my selfishness, lay down my will for my spouse, for my children, being willing to put down that not what I want to do, but this is now no longer about me. This is now about us. We're in this together. I shared last week how when you got in that car accident, I realized how much I loved you.
mm.
That physically you couldn't do nothing for me. Physically, because your both your wrists is broken, you have a boot on your foot, your body is wrecked because you were in a bad car accident. The car was total.
Completely total, yeah.
But I realized that my love for you had nothing to do with the physical.
Mm.
That it was about loving this individual from the heart and being there and standing with you. So love is more than the good times. Can I depend on you when times get hard?
And that's a question that we must ask ourselves when we are talking about marriage and we are talking about a relationship. And babe, just hearing you recite vows because we take them, we listen to them, we recite them. But I honestly don't know if we really take or are taking into consideration what we're saying. Like when you said for better, for worse, in sickness and in health till death do us part, that is serious. That is a covenant. That is a commitment that we make unto God for life. And so hard seasons can either destroy a relationship, my love, or strengthen it. And I think because we shared earlier, my husband shared earlier, that this is really going to be about our personal struggles. And for us, I believe it strengthened it.
Mm.
Now, I have seen in the past, I have seen marriages be destroyed through struggle
Yeah.
because unfortunately, the marriage could not withstand it, whether it be finances, whether it be the death of a loved one, whether it be children, whether it be job security,
Yeah.
whatever it is, housing, whatever it is. Some marriages, some relationships have been destroyed because of the hardship.
Yeah.
I truly believe that when God puts you together, when God sends you your person, that you can weather any storm. And especially when you do it in God. And so, babe, I think for us, that struggle was different because we had God.
Yeah.
We may not have had anything financial. We might not have had money. We might
Yeah.
not have had
Definitely.
cars and homes and stocks and bonds and a bank account, but we had God. And because we had God, we were able to get through it and we were more resilient and stronger. And I think that we love each other in a different way.
Right. Definitely.
That it is not because I think when we first got married, I think we were very much in love, of course. And for me, it was,
Yeah.
oh my God, the love of my life. But babe, even when we were preparing for this, and I just started thinking about where God has brought us as a couple,
Yeah.
I can truly say that it is the Lord that has kept us
Most
and has strengthened us. And without him, we would not be here.
100%. My love, one of the deceptive things about television and social media is that we paint this narrative about relationships, about success, about what we need to have and what we need to achieve before marriage.
That's good.
It is one of the things that delays a lot of relationship, and people, they work on their career, they work on their goals, and I have to achieve this, I have to accomplish this, I need to have a house before this, I need to have this amount of money in the bank before we can get married, I need to have all this stuff here together. And all it ends up in is a perpetual relationship, just dating, and never makes a commitment, never get to a place where it is marriage. And you and I, we did not have that story. We didn't have that story. We had none of the above. It would have been sweet to have an elaborate wedding for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you can bring all your friends in from the Caribbean and from other parts of the country. It would have been beautiful to have a destination wedding. It would have been beautiful to have a wedding planner. It would have been beautiful to have
Bridesmaids and groomsmen.
yeah. It would have been beautiful. That stuff costs money. But what if you have none of the above? What if the two of you just don't have any of those things? And she and I did not. You and I did not have that luxury.
We did not. I do remember though that you desired a large wedding.
I did.
and you put a down payment on a place for us to have this reception. I think in your heart of hearts, you wanted us to both have the wedding of our dreams. But because we didn't have the finances,
We didn't.
but we loved each other.
Yeah.
And there was no need for us to prolong being together and getting married for us because of money.
Well, I
We
was afraid,
you were, yes.
and I want to keep it real. I was afraid,
As a man, yes.
and since this episode is about we had nothing, I want to direct this conversation into that. I don't want to rob you of this experience on this particular episode.
Absolutely.
Before I even met my wife, I had been going through a struggle for many years. Just couldn't get a job, I couldn't afford to get in an apartment or anything of this nature, anything that normal people would have. I did have an apartment because I was staying with some people and together we had an apartment, but they left me there and I was trying to foot the bills on my own with just part-time job that I had, entrepreneurship that I was working in at the time. For example, mowing the grass, lawn service, cleaning homes, detailing cars.
Yeah.
I had some odd and ends jobs
Yes.
that I was trying to use to suffice for the lack of finances that I had, and it still wasn't enough. And so my apartment landlord, he was merciful to me. He had a lot of pity, and he would allow me to mow the grass around the apartment complex to help make some type of payment, right? Well, I couldn't make the rent. I just couldn't make it. So I was making payments on the rent by doing that. And so the rent went into 6, 7 months behind. And there was no way possible. I just didn't have the means. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any family members here around that I can depend on, anyone to call. And so I just had to make a decision that I need to give this apartment up, but I had no idea where I was going to stay. I was just going to be out here. I just trusted God. And I called many of my friends. I opened my apartment door and I said, yo, come and take whatever you want. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where life is going to take me. I might pack my bags up and go home. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I was at a place where I didn't have nothing and I had nothing to lose. And I was willing to take that chance to give it all up, knowing that God would give it back to me again. I got a hold of one of my friends that I used to, as a music producer, we used to produce music together. And I asked him, he had moved to California, but he had a house there. And one of my other friends was also staying at the house. I asked him if I could stay there. And that's what happened. I stayed there. And I'm sure I'm missing some things because I stayed with a few more people before that, right? That was my experience, where you stay with people and they put you out or they didn't want you to live there anymore. So that was my experience. I had housing instability. And so when I met my wife, I only had a plastic container with all my clothes in it. And I had a blow up mattress that I had duct taped so many times because it kept going flat on me. And I kept blowing it back up and duct taping it. And so when you met me, I was sleeping on a blow up mattress and I had nothing. I was ashamed. That's why I didn't want to be in a relationship as well. I didn't want anybody to see that and know that about me, that I was struggling. But I never really did tell you what was going on with the blow up mattress or nothing. When we started talking, you would call me, we would talk, and we would stay up at night talking, but I'll fall asleep and I'll wake up in the morning flat on the ground.
That's what you said.
Because the air had come out of the mattress. Now, that's just one of my struggles. But I'm too ashamed to say, hey, I met this girl. I can't tell her. I don't want her to know my situation. Because as soon as people found out my real situation, they were gone. So I knew that everybody couldn't handle my real situation. But anyway, I decided to tell you. And you didn't say you were going to do nothing about it. You were just talking to me. And I shared it with you. But you never said to me, I'll do something about it. I remember about 3 days later, I got a knock on the door. And it was the UPS man. And the UPS man showed up with a blow-up mattress that you sent. And at that moment, that was probably one of the first moments that I knew that you were in this, that you had my back and that you were with me and that you cared about me and my well-being. That I didn't ask you to do that. You did that on your own.
You did not.
You met somebody who had nothing. Now, this is important because I remember when I had this conversation with my pastor, and I remember the conversation, and this is what she said to me. Both of you are starting from nothing, but don't despise the day of small beginnings. Don't despise the fact that you both don't have anything. God will bless both of you. And that's the thing that we had in common. We weren't rich. We didn't have success, but what we had God and we had each other. And that was the beginning. big boy. Me and you had some other struggles that we will continue to share in the next couple episodes. But that was the first time that I saw somebody stood up for me, took a chance on me. Didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. But that was something that stood out to me. And I remember that somebody heard my situation without me asking, provide a solution. I was using an Android phone when you met me. I was using the Android phone and the phone.
And in that moment, I knew. I said, Lord, I know why you sent me to him.
It was an Android phone, and the phone kept running out of space.
Yeah, like storage.
The
and you would have
storage, and I had to keep
taking
deleting stuff. It was
Yeah,
frustrating, but I
I
just
remember
didn't
that.
have the money to do anything else.
I hear you, mother.
And you put me on your plan.
I did. And
You upgrade me
I did. And he been a Mac man ever since.
ever since.
I
Ever since.
iPhone, iPad.
That's
no,
right.
but my love, you know what? Even when I was listening to you and we were talking, I still didn't know how bad your situation was until we got married and I moved here.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, I see. You not having material things never was an issue for me. And it wasn't because you were lazy. It wasn't because you felt entitled. It was because of a circumstance that you
Yeah.
had no control
Yeah.
over. And that is something completely different.
Yeah.
And so, babe, even when you would share with me about your mattress and you would talk to me about certain things, and when I would call you, your phone, babe, I have to call you back. You would have to keep taking the battery out, all types of things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this man shouldn't have to live like this. But babe, for me, you never asked. And I was compelled to help you. I think because I loved you. But then also, there was a certain level, babe, of compassion that you had. That even if I wasn't in love with you, even if you were a friend, because you were so genuine and you were so honest, we were building a friendship over everything. I wanted to help you because there was no reason for you to have to struggle like that if I could help.
It was so crazy, baby. I had gotten comfortable in that struggle.
You did.
I have gotten comfortable to
And
know.
you never complained about it. But I'm like, this man shouldn't have to live like this.
I got comfortable to no one coming to my rescue.
Oh,
I got
you.
comfortable with no one helping me.
I hear you.
I got comfortable trying to figure it out for myself. And if this doesn't work, I'll just do the best that I can. I got comfortable with that.
I hear you. I think for me, my love, when I heard that you needed help, that because of my love for you, I felt it. I felt that I needed to help you the best that I could. Money has never been a thing for me. Always had it. But I grew up with my grandparents and money was never an issue. Yeah. So I don't have a struggle story in that sense. I can't tell you that I grew up poor. I cannot do that. But what I can do is tell you that I knew, babe, that there was something different about you. I knew that God brought you in my life. And I knew that because he sent you to me and he put us in each other's lives, that if I was going to be a part of your life, I wanted to always add to you. I always wanted to help you. Yeah. I never wanted to be a burden to you. A famous preacher always said, make sure you're a wife and not a knife. Yeah. And so that always stuck with me. And so, babe, you, even in your struggles, though, you were still confident in God. Yes. You were not angry. Yeah. You were not bitter. You always reminded me that the Lord would not forget about you. Yeah. And this was the way that the Lord had you. And you always would give the biblical reference of Joseph. And you would always give how his brothers sold him into slavery and how when they came before him, he had compassion on them regardless of how he got there. That stuck with me, my love. And so in that, I had to help. I had to, my love, because you deserve that. And there was nothing that you asked for. And it wasn't that I was trying to buy you. I didn't have money like that. But I saw that there was a need. Right. And because of my love for you, I wanted to help. I was embarrassed because as a man, I provide, I take care. And to be in a position where your hands are tied and you have to depend on other people was humiliating. It brought shame, but it also taught me humility. It taught me meekness. I hear you. It taught me compassion for people. That's it. It taught me the true value of life, that the materialistic things that we put so much stock in is really all a lie. That true love is much deeper than a $10,000 diamond ring. Oh. We were struggling so bad, babe, that your first ring, I got it from Walmart. I still have that ring and I love it. I got your first ring from Walmart. Is what I could afford. And I still to this day, I think it is absolutely beautiful. but I understand.
That with pride
I wore it
too.
with pride. I
You
didn't
did.
care.
You did.
At the end of the day, my love, you could have $1 million. You could have been a millionaire, but you could have been arrogant.
All right.
You could have been prideful. You could have been a man who doesn't desire to please God. And so you could have given me all of the financial stability or what the world thinks is a flex, but you're my safe space.
Right.
And what you and I have, I've learned that you can't put a price on that. The peace that we have in our marriage, thanks to God, you can't put a price on that.
That's true.
It really is priceless. And babe, I loved that Walmart ring. I absolutely loved it. And it just reminded me of our wedding day. We didn't have a lot of people. There were 6 people at our wedding,
6
including us. 6. And we had a beautiful wedding on the beach. And when you look at the pictures 13 years later, babe, you would have thought we had this beautiful, elaborate wedding because it was breathtakingly beautiful. And then after we got married, we had a beautiful wedding reception at the Crackle Barrel. True story.
Girl.
Went to Crackle Barrel and we ate real good. And then that destination honeymoon that we went on, it was about 15 feet
Away
from Crackle Barrel, the Hampton Inn.
That's our beginning.
That is that is a true story, my love. And that is our beginning. And that was how our marriage began. That was our wedding day.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's a true story, my love. It's a true story. And so that is our beginning, our humble beginning, because we knew that God was with us and it didn't matter what we did not have.
Right.
It wasn't about money. It wasn't about that, but it really was about us loving each other wholeheartedly,
Definitely.
regardless of our financial state. And we didn't allow that to stop us.
We didn't.
Because we knew that we would be better together than apart.
That was our beginning. That's where we started from. But in the next episodes, we're going to really go deeper into our story. But we just wanted to show how every relationships don't have the same route, same template.
That's right.
It is not always you save enough money and you have a big wedding at a church where hundreds of people come to attend.
That's right.
And everybody's decked out in their tuxedo or whatever they're wearing. No, sometimes it looks different.
That's right.
And different is okay.
It is.
When it comes to love, different is okay. You love each other. And we were just determined that we were going to be together.
That's right.
Even if it's just 6 people at our wedding.
That's right.
But guess what? We were on the beach though. We were on the beach before God and the most beautiful background ever. Most beautiful background.
The sky,
money couldn't
the
pay
water.
for that.
That is very true, my love.
Yeah. So.
Still one of the most beautiful days of my life.
And guess what?
What's that, my love?
If we were to renew our vows, I'll do the same thing again. Go back to the beach.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
I love it. I think that represented who we were, our spirits.
I agree.
That we were free. We had a big spirit, but we were not limited to tradition. We're not limited to what people think it's the right way or the wrong way to do things.
That's right.
We didn't have money, but we had the whole free world.
We did. God's beautiful landscape and creation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, my love.
Definitely.
Wow. So we appreciate you all coming in and sharing this episode with us. Remember that love is a daily decision. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing love.